Okay, Marcel, hello, how are you?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, quite good. Thank you very much for the invitation and to get the opportunity to join you guys.
Thank you. We're
Um,
very excited to have you with us here on
Thank
Grey
you.
Area.
Thank you.
How's Berlin at the moment?
Well, yeah, like at the moment is like mirthful. First of all, like a little bit like feels a bit strange in terms of summer because after a really good start. I mean, I don't want to talk about like boring weather stuff first of all, but like this is like what summer is in Berlin mostly about. That you have either like really hot days or like you have like every 5 6 minutes like a different weather situation. This is like what it is in these days, mainly rainy, and then
Yeah.
you got like a pretty heavy fun thunderstorm on some point even, and then the stormy stuff, and then like half an hour later you have like sunshine as the sun is shining, and then yeah, but yeah, this is yeah, quite usual here in Berlin at the moment. But yeah, except that, so I'm
All good.
just like focusing a lot on music. After I like took a longer, let's say, not really break, but I had to put my focus on private things with my parents the last 2 3 years, and had to yeah take care of treatment stuff. So I'm really happy. First of all, I found a good solution to get the best result for
Nice.
both of them, and also to get back to music finally again, and
Nice.
to yeah to be able to start all those projects and to release the stuff I have in mind now since yeah since
A long
pandemic,
time.
you can even say. So yeah, good things ahead, definitely.
Good. Good. Well, you can tell us a little bit about what's coming up now, but just to start, I would like to know a little bit more about growing up around music. What are your first memories of music for you?
Well, going back deep now. I mean, as you might know, so I've been born like in the old GDR, and so when the wall came down, I was like 13, almost 14, and so this was actually also the time right before the wall came down. Like, yeah, I mean, did like some tape stuff, like recorded like radio shows, like more like poppy stuff, like when I was super young, but like still, I was like fascinated by the fact to do school parties and play music for my classmates. Anyway, it was quite funny. But yeah, later on, so like I've been starting like yeah like to get into hip hop. Like there was like a few hip hop bands like in the really late GDR times, and just like actually even one was able like to yeah like being super successful, which was called Electric Beat Crew was their name. And so it was the time, when like East and West was shifting, and like they were like doing like yeah, pretty good stuff. More like kind of Grandmaster Flash inspired, old school kind of sounding stuff. But yeah, pretty successful. Also, like being on TV shows in East Germany back in the days, and also on the first approaches in West Germany, and so this was like a big wave, and this was
Yeah.
also affecting me on some point, like to see people first time with bass caps and doing like kind of little dance like specifically for this type of music. I haven't seen that before, so it was like super new and
It's all
nice.
new.
Absolutely. And yeah, so this was also the time when I was yeah starting like to get into graffiti, and like was like getting in touch like with the first couple of movies like movies like Beat Street and stuff, where I also yeah had those very influential moments in this movie when like a guy recorded like a water drop and put effects on it, and it was like wow for me, like her to hear like what you can do with sounds. So yeah, this was like a very early stage. Then yeah, it played also like a kind of yeah like kind of hip hop sets, if you say so, like on birthday parties. Up to middle of the 90s, you can even Big L, Tribe Called Quest, yeah, Pete Rock. So like they were like my source of hip hop in the 90s. And at a little bit on a later stage, I got more into this, instrumental based electronica influence kind of stuff, Massive Attack, DJ Crush, DJ Cam, also Bonobo. And I remember always like this moment when like Blade 2 was in cinemas, and there was like a Massive Attack track, Eye Against Eye, in the end of the movie, and everyone left, and I was still sitting there. I was like, "Fuck, that's a damn good track." I've been more fascinated by the movie, by the sound, and this was like also nice little memory for sure. Like when we speak about this part. But then, apparently also got into electronic music by beginning of the 90s and went to first, trance parties at that time. Like also recorded like some radio shows. Rave Satellite was one of the really early ones back then, like created and by Marusha even, which was like a very famous trance act, you can say, back in the days. And then started to buy my first records from Malaria, IQ, Frankfurt Beats, those kind of stuff. Very early stage, but like also very inspiring in terms how the community was handing each other, like this part of freedom which was like in there, and diversity also, which is like all those values, what you still like believe in, these days. Then I was starting like, let's say, like an own kind of party concept with a friend middle of the 90s in my hometown, which is actually like just 50 kilometers 45 in the east of Berlin. So where I grew up actually. But I've been then in Berlin like more regularly than even before, and then so we wanted to start something by our own, and it was also very inspiring period of time to invite like Berlin-based DJs like Tom Clark back in the days, but also international stuff from Heiko Laux, which is also German, but like also DJ Slip back in the days, so which were super great highlights during this part of my 90s journey, you can say. I really loved it. And so also my taste in music was like going into more like harder direction, I would say. I remember that at some point I felt very close to more acid kind of sounds, middle of the 90s onwards, like with Surgeon Birmingham School, this kind of really proper kind of stuff came up, and I felt felt connected very immediately with it, and I think it's still part of my DNA these days. While producing, also playing techno, at the same time I had like also very influential experience on a Love Parade edition, 96 or 97. With Claude Young, actually, when he played the same kind of record on 2 or 3 decks and was just like creating delay effects just by the record, like it was the first time I heard this kind of technique playing by a DJ, and was like, whoa, that was super wow. I mean, coming like from this kind of turntablism fascination, like from hip hop, I was like very amazed to see like how techno can also be influenced by that, and just like how to handle turntables like this. And it was super good, and it was also leading me into more like a kind of Detroit-esque path of Robert Hood minimalism and ambient music, to name this first of all, but like there were a couple of other stuff too. So like during the 90s there was a big source of inspiration, which was I soaked it up technically in all its forms actually. It was not just like I was like super hyped by a certain sound. So whenever I bought records, like back in the days, Delirium, even like the first couple of days, and then later on Hardwax in Berlin here, like I always bought like this really big bunch of records, but like from ambient to I never really got like just a package in my hands and just like from the guy from the store and just like here is like a pre-selected thing and then listening to it. I've been doing it always by myself, and so I was like going through all kind of genres, and it just I just had to react on something. Even like a nice ambient piece of music could do something spectacular with me. When I really feel like goosebumps. Then I bought it, and I've never been this kind of labels selector or just like bought a certain artist and only this kind of stuff, like also at some point there were releases that never really fascinated me. So I kept this kind of stuff always open, and this was the way how I was like buying my first record, how I select music these days, and also was a good, I think, way how to start DJ with, also while playing techno. This was more the musical input. Parallel to that, for sure, I was starting like to play my first parties up to late 90s. So from that moment onwards, I wanted to move things onwards and started to play sometimes in weird techno chambers of discotheques.
Are these techno chambers in Berlin? Did it all start around?
No. It was like also discotheques, more discotheques, like in Brandenburg, which is like, the state around Berlin. And this was mainly there, like in Berlin, it was like the first approaches with like, even back in the days, Tresor had this concept, New Faces, and I played it. And if you more, let's say, on the edge of illegal concepts, but not really regularly in a club at these days, like it was more like the feeling I have to express myself musically and want to share my music I bought and I always loved, to and wanted to let people know, what I feel when you're listening to those tracks. And then, the guy, I was doing the parties with was like actually like a bunch of teenagers even, like these days, which weren't that much, in my hometown, 90, between 95, 98. So still, surrounded by maybe 10, 20, you can say, like music lovers, and found each other like through music,
Found
you can
your
say,
crew.
like in my hometown, there was like 30,000 people or something, like 40, let's say. So in these days, it's not like a really big town, but in these days it was like then quite easy, like to identify each other when you was listening to pretty much like a new kind of and electronic, based music, so we met like at youth clubs, back then, and just like bought all the records we bought and just listening to it and discussed about it, and it was really lovely.
Nice.
To feel the same ambition
Together.
emotions,
And all have the same passion for something. Like you found your people.
same absolutely like I'm still kind of well connected to a few part of them, but like mainly it's like was like 30 years ago. I mean, this is like long time ago, and but still great to see like spirit is still the same, and even when like
the love for music
everyone
is still
like
there.
now involved into family and all this stuff, but it's great.
If you had to choose one career highlight, which one would it be?
Career highlights.
That's a big question, because I'm sure there's a lot.
One, that's really a big question. I mean, the first thing that pops up in my mind for sure is maybe my residency at Berghain back then. What I started at beginning of 2005.
Okay. Wow.
Because this was like a life changer for sure, and it's still fascinating me, the club and the vibe, even when there's like involvement going on like since then, but still for sure for me it was not just for me like as a DJ, who was like searching for a certain certain home for your passion of music, you can say. What I said before, like after like just like hopping on and off through from one discotheque to another, or like just like those kind of illegal parties. So it was for sure a big dream in general, like to find a regular
Yeah.
place, where you feel you can share with like-minded people your music. And I mean, back then, I would say no one was maybe even kind of expecting that going to be that huge on some point. It was just like for me, in the first place, a spot where you find those people, I was looking for. And I mean, to shape, my DJ being, if you say so, as an artist, like if from my early slots I played there, which was mainly the first few years based on opening slots, which was pretty much okay because you could play from ambient to peak time tracks and 4 hours, pretty much everything, and this was like a good school also for me to mix
Yeah.
different styles, to bring different vibes to people, to get things rolling, and to see the floor growing. And it's still like one of these events that is fascinating me, while DJing, when you can share these moments with
Yeah.
people on the
I've
floor.
never been to Bergheim before. It's like somewhere that's on my
Oh yeah,
list.
then you should. Yeah, sure. Once in a while. I mean, mainly meanwhile. So I go there on Sundays when friends are in town and stuff like this. But from time to time, I also go there for warm up sets and like in a really early period of time. And it's quite funny to see like the magic is still there. The magic what I felt back in the days when I played that the first time, when the whole thing is starting, and like it's a totally different. It's like more like a clean, and I don't know how to explain it, like a very warm and clean feeling in the beginning when no one is there, and then like the first people are coming. There are always those guys who really enjoy like to be the first on the floor, then doing their little show or whatever, and you just see them just in the beginning, and then they disappear. More people are coming; those guys disappear, which is also quite nice to be part of the night. But yeah, still, I still love it, like to get the things rolling there, and it's still like a fascinating moment, I would say.
Isn't that so lovely
And
though that you still have that feeling for all of these years, and you still feel that
absolutely.
magic? It's not like somewhat. I think sometimes you can go to the same place many of times and it just becomes like very same,
Yeah.
but still feeling that magic and what you felt from the very beginning is like a really special thing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why, I mean, Berghain for sure. That's maybe the first thing that pops in my
Yeah.
mind. As I said,
Nice.
maybe another thing is when I produced together a collaboration, which was actually also the first time in my life. That's why I'm taking it into account as well. Collaboration with Eftimin as like a certain duo or project, what we called DIN,
Okay.
DIN, which is actually like the shortcut for German industrial norm, which is saying how big is like A4 paper, like a really German bullshit, actually, like not the bullshit, sorry, but like, what I mean, like, very precise
Yeah.
and very blah, blah, blah. And this is what, ironically, we wanted to, apparently to do something oppositely. So, and do something which is exactly not like that, and like fitting into measurements. So, but this was like the first time we both worked together, and like the project was super nice thing because I've been working the first time together with a choreographer, and usually you make people to make the people move, and this was pretty much the opposite, no people, they had to translate the movement of a certain people into a musical mood or musical mood. You know what I mean? Like you had to translate dancing into a mood. It was pretty much the other way around. You know what I
I
mean?
like that.
Yeah. So it was like you seen just like a certain like choreography of our choreographer, and then you just had to translate it into music. It was pretty much the opposite of you usually work when you're doing music for dance floors at clubs. And so this was quite fascinating to do that. And yeah, it was also for me like a mind opener, like first of all to be open for collaborations, because before that I've been always more into my tunnel and was like very fixed on my own projects, and never really actually thought about like a collaboration. But then it was such a good experience, really, like also with Philip, the real name of F. Dimon. He's like also, has like so educated skills, also like a lot of things also in production terms. And to mix up our preferences was like quite nice to see how the result is coming out. And yeah, like the whole project was just enjoyable. It was like completely a different kind of topic to what I usually did, from the flow, what I just told you already, to the whole mindset, to the music itself, for sure, like in comparison, like with dances. And yeah, so for sure, this was like maybe one of the most ambitious projects I started at the time, and I was like, also, okay, let's see, but I wanted to get it, I wanted to make it, and I liked those challenges. And yeah,
Nice.
the outcome was amazing. I really loved it. Always up like to do this kind of stuff again, for sure.
Nice. Last year marked 10 years
Yeah.
of IMF, Index Marcel Fengler.
Sorry?
Last year marked 10 years of
Yeah.
IMF. Tell us a little bit about how the IMF started out all them 10 years ago and how you've seen it evolve over the last, well, now 11 years.
Actually newer 11 years, that's true. Yeah. Well, I think maybe like most of the things you're starting stuff like this based on passion. There was also with my DJ career in general. So I mean, it was a thing. I never did like certain plannings. I never really did something that's saying like I have to be here and there in like short, mid, or long terms. You know what I mean? Like I was just like following like an inner kind of voice that told me I have to express myself when it comes to music, and share what I love. And so with the label was pretty much the same, like at that moment I released just on a few labels like Oscotone, on Mode Evolver once, Luke Slater's label, and I always kept it also a bit like very reduced when it came to own releases. I never been that kind of guy who opened up like to spread around on thousands on labels. So I just kept the focus on a few ones, but those I really like. And with my label was actually the first time that I felt like, okay, I want to be, let's say, or I want to create like the whole process just by myself, from the artwork, from distribution terms, matters, just, I don't know, it was like one of these...
No, I was just going to say, you do everything then. Yeah. You run absolutely everything.
Yeah. Like to because it was just based, like, as a lot of label were starting, like, when it was, like, handled by a DJ or, like, an act, then you always, the reason is most of all, like, based on the fact that you want to release your own music. And it was pretty much the same also for me, that I wanted to have, like, a separate path where I can just like dealing myself, with my music. I have the absolute freedom to decide everything by myself. Not that I got pushed by someone else, and then telling me, no, that the schedule was full, blah, blah, blah. It was not a must to do so, but I felt I have to, just for like this, to take this challenge and to move things forward here also at this stage, it was like another step in my mind, also like to move things onward, also with me as a producer, and
like taking the next step, really, isn't it? Like taking the next step in your career.
It is absolutely, and I mean, this is like the first record you ever release. When you hold it in your hand, and you have the feeling like, fuck, that physical
I've
part
done
here
this.
is something that, yeah, it's such a great feeling. It's priceless, really. And it's the same thing with your
Yeah.
label. You know, when you release your first stuff on the label and things are starting. So there's like, it's a lot about passion. It's yeah, maybe the main source you can
Yeah.
say to do it. And it still is, you know. I mean, like IMF never been that kind of label that has released every 2 months a release or so, which is super okay, you know. But like for me, I kept it quite small in a way, and also like the output was not like that regularly. Sometimes I released like 3 records a year, sometimes just one. So it was just like based on the quality and on my feeling how the vision of IMF is matching to the music, you know, what I'm gonna release there, or what I released there. So yeah, it's still the driving force. And then yeah, started like to work with other artists, you know, what I felt like very connected with and fascinated me as even back then, like 12, 13, there were guys like from Vril
Mm.
or who else, like Zenker Brothers, those guys, you know, like which were in their career like really like an early stage, and later on, as you can see now, like very successful. But you know, it was like my early connection with them, what I were already felt back then. They're super talented. I wanted to make music with them, you know, or release music
Yeah.
at least of them. And so the idea was born, yeah, to get into, to leave this more like individual uh, angle on my own tracks, to more open up like to other people and to other interesting artists. And yeah,
I think it's like having that
looking back from 10 years,
Sorry. No, I was just gonna say, I
no,
feel
it's,
like it's like having that platform to be able to connect with other people. It's like it's something similar, but for example, I have a podcast, and it's like people selfishly that I would probably love to meet or connect with somehow. It's like not the excuse, but it's just a really great way to connect with someone instead of just like, I don't know, you just randomly meet somebody. You have that platform or that source to connect and to work with different people, right?
it is definitely part of the whole thing. Maybe not like it's. I mean, the basic is still
Yeah.
music, you know. I mean, like, and then to connect it maybe with like-minded people who also doing or like representing maybe your vision, you
Yeah.
know, like in a certain way. Maybe it's a little bit different to a podcast. What you know, like stick on like a certain topic, you know, just want to speak about. Like for me, it's, you know, it's like always the same topic. The topic is
Music.
quality music, you know, and then trying to connect myself, you know, to people who share the same view and vision about it. So that's maybe a little bit different, but like basically, you're right. Yeah, that's true. Like the opportunity that you have,
Yeah.
like, yeah, you can connect like with like-minded people this way. It's for sure one of the benefits when you have like a label like this. But yeah, 10 years still, like looking back now, it's yeah, never really thought about it to be honest, like that 10, 12, or no, almost 12 meanwhile, even later. So we yeah, it's still like it's still fascinating. The music I release is still fascinating people on IMF, and like everything is like and still going on, and also the label has evolved also in a more now maybe like not in a completely different way, but like also taking like certain moments like to how you may to
Mm.
adjust, you know, like a certain um, things in your vision, you know what I mean? Like for example, right now, what I'm just doing, let's say on my vinyl catalog end, is that I trying, when I'm trying, I connect, let's say, younger talented producers who are just like mainly do the release with like, let's say, more established profiles who are going to remix one of those tracks, which is not like a super new idea in general, but the background is that how can I say that? I felt like there's like a sort of discussion about this new generation thing, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I felt a bit on some point there was a kind of defined before and after of that. You know what I mean? Like this is not. It's like facing each other instead of like more like have an
Yeah.
inclusive uh, character. And this is for me. I don't like this kind of way of thinking. Little, let's say it's my personal
Mm.
way how to handle it. To be honest, I mean that's that for sure. But like I feel like there is like. Both sides are inseparably interwoven, you can even say so, because there is like something that is connecting everything with everything, with everything.
Yeah.
Sorry, and it cannot be opposed to each other. I would say, you know, like it's like for me not really understandable how you can, you know, split it. And I don't want to say it's completely like this, but I have the feeling there is something around like which is goes in this direction.
Yeah.
So with IMF, I would like, you know, to show up, you know, my interpretation, you know, which is like yeah,
Bringing them
connecting
together.
those worlds, yeah, those two worlds. If you want to keep this picture. And not really like separating them, you know. This is what I didn't do, like maybe in the early 10 or like yeah the first 10 releases on my
Mm.
of my label. So and starting now since 11 since last year, I changed this kind of concept for vinyl releases. So we have we had like Milo Spikers with a remix of mine, and next one will be a new EP of mine finally after now since 2015.
Since
I know
2015.
it's
Nice,
yeah, that was my last
exciting.
EP. I mean, like there was a couple of releases I was doing or like making like a track for
Mm.
VAs and other stuff, but not really like an EP, you can say. So this will be out now in 1.5 2 months with a remix by Shadow of Obscure Shape. And then we have Rove Ranger with The Advent and a guy from Spain called Rodiat's really young talented profile with a remix from Slam. So you know
Wow,
what I
that's
mean?
so
Like this is
cool.
that's I'm trying like to show up. Then I have like the first release of Stea, and just like yeah, also dealing out like remixes here. So this is how, you know, also like my evolvement of the vision of my label. It's not really that I have fixed 10 12 years ago, you know. It's also for sure kind of evolving, but still like the connecting part is still like the
Yeah.
music, you know. Even like the way how you put like things together is maybe a little bit different, but like the best way as you how you can see that is also the new project what I was just starting is like Hardproof. It's like more like a digital VA project, you can say. You know, maybe like for a lot of people, it's like digital only. Sometimes, let's say, a little bit difficult. It was for a long time also for me, to be honest. Up to pandemic, you could say I wasn't really sure if I should start something like this. But on one hand, I've been getting a lot of really great music from younger producers, and since my vinyl schedule, you can also say is pretty much packed now to summer next year, you know. And what can you do? You can't say like to those young talented guys, dude, I would love to, but we can work something out then next year
Yeah.
in winter time or something. So you know what
Yeah.
I mean? That's impossible, and for sure you have to respect their musical approach as well. And so I wanted to give it like a platform, you know, for exactly those kind of talented guys that has to be shown and that has to be shared, you know, with my community and fans of IMF. And so yeah, I was also like asking like a few talented guys if they want to join. At the end of the day, I received now almost 40 tracks or so, which is a lot of tracks. Meanwhile, and so I clustered
Mm.
them and just like still to have this kind of cohesive um track listing, you can say, because you know, like the first, which came out now end of June, was like more like darker
Yeah.
synthy kind of approach. The next one now, end of August, is more like warm, soulfuler, groovier kind of stuff. I would say more like kind of summer-esque, but still music I really love. You know, like Hardproof is it's not like saying it's hard techno, you know. Maybe there's I know there's also like a little misunderstanding when I talk to friends. So hard proof is just saying the music is well selected, you know, and this is what I actually want to say with this kind of VA series, you know. But like the music is also now clustered into like certain topics or like different styles a little bit, you can say, but like still like the main connecting part is still the quality of music, and also to show up there's still like a lot of funk in the music, even when you got a feeling these days it's very one-dimensional, but like still there's like what I want to say with the comparison to the IMF one. There is like also another path, you know, what I'm following, like to show up the diversity of the label side, even when like the basic intention is like in terms of music is the same.
You seem like you're very, very busy these last few months.
Yeah, I mean, this was actually like those kind of things are growing, you know. There's nothing what I also decided from one day
it's
to
been
another.
An ongoing thing.
It's an ongoing process for sure, and like the pandemic, was like for sure like the best time like to go more into depth in these terms, and to also to recheck yourself, you know, your way of thinking and your what is your approach and creativity terms for your own as a DJ, also like as a music customer, on the other hand, also like as a label owner. So there were like a couple of things, you know, you had to I was, let's say, asking myself, you know, under these terms. And I mean, now as I said, like now finally there is some time to put it or to realize it, because I said like I get like some like there was some private issues also the last 2-3 years with on my family, so I had to take care of, but like still now I found a really good solution for everything, and it's great to be to put the focus of my mind like back to the music side much more than I could do like in the last 2-3 years.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been so lovely to talk to you and get to know you a little bit more and know about everything that's going on. I wish you the best of luck for Hard Proof and another great successful 10 years of IMF. And hopefully I'll get to see Bergheim one day. And if I do, I'll let you know.
No, hopefully, let me know. Sure.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the interview. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.